of all, what is the tampon tax? It's just a catchy nickname for a sales tax applied to menstrual products like maxi pads, menstrual cups, and panty liners. Bonus points for alliteration. Now, where in the world does this so-called tampon tax exist? All but a small group of countries taxes the sale of tampons, but it's worth noting that nowhere in the world does a tampon exclusive tax exist. In the EU, something called a value-added tax, or VAT, is applied to tampon sales, but that VAT can vary from country to country. In 2000, the UK actually voted to lower its tampon-specific VAT from 17.5% all the way down to the lowest legal rate of 5%. And in December 2015, after some baguette and forth, France voted to lower its tampon-specific VAT from 20% to 5.5%. In the United States, the so-called tampon tax is actually just sales and use tax, which varies from state to state. Meanwhile, in Canada, tampons were taxed under its goods and services tax. That is, until July 2015, when Parliament was finally like, ladies, we'll go ahead and lift that tampon tax, eh? So why are some folks, especially period-having folks, so mad about having to pay pretty basic taxes on their tampons? First of all, aren't our ruined underwear, pants, and skirts tampon tax enough? But as tampon tax protesters understandably argue, if stuff like kangaroo meat and edible cake decorations are tax exempt in the UK, and 15 states in the US classify candy as tax-free necessities, then why are feminine hygiene products that literally enable us to leave our houses and go to school and work 1 week out of every month taxed as luxury items? Sorry, I can't come in, boss. I'm on another one of my luxury cruises, if you know what I mean. Why isn't everyone on board then for ditching these so-called tampon taxes? First of all, it's a feminist cause, which some people will automatically dismiss because A, they're uncomfortable with women expressing their opinions too loudly, and B, they often confuse gender equality with favoritism. More level-headed critics note that this tax system of classifying necessities versus luxury items is impossible to rectify on a tampon by tampon basis. For instance, toilet paper is rarely tax exempt, even though most people, especially in the bidet-shy United States, would agree that it's a necessity. But of course, anti-tampon taxers might argue that while everybody probably needs toilet paper, only half the population has to use menstrual products. So who's right? Well, both and neither. Except for that guy on the Stuff Mom Never Told You Facebook page who tried to mansplain how tampons actually are a luxury item because cave women survived fine without them. What? Personally, as a feminist with a uterus, axing the tax makes perfect sense in principle, but like our tax codes, the issue isn't that simple. From a gender equality standpoint, tampon taxes might not be the most reliable gauge of how a government treats its female population, considering how Scandinavia, that paradise of paid parental leave, gender quotas, and subsidized childcare, also levies some of the highest tampon taxes on the planet. To find much lower single-digit tampon taxes, you'll need to travel to places like Turkey, Iran, and Qatar. And even if the 40 American states with tampon taxes threw them out the window tomorrow, that wouldn't eliminate taxes on all hygiene products exclusively used by women and some non-binary folks. If the ultimate goal is to make these basic necessities more accessible for low and no income girls and women, eliminating the tampon tax is laudable. But does it really make a world of difference when, for instance, these items still aren't food stamp eligible in the United States? And how does that get them in the hands of, say, homeless and incarcerated women who are often forced to manage without? Because when you think about it, lifting the tampon tax ultimately benefits wealthier women more because the upfront costs of tampons are often prohibitively expensive for many families. The state of California, for instance, makes $20 million in tax revenue from the so-called tampon tax. And I would gladly pay my fair share of that if that $20 million could then be used to ensure that low-income families didn't have to pay for menstrual products at all. So I guess what I'm saying is that I am in favor of a tampon tax as long as only the people who can afford it have to pay it. Because if I can use my period to make another girl's period less stressful, take my money and sign me up.